So I really been contemplating marriage, and the Apostle Paul is really clear when he speaks about marriage and how marriages are supposed to be run, and how the husband is supposed to treat the wife and the wife is supposed to treat the husband. And he uses people like Abraham and Sarah as an example, and how he commended Sarah for just being obedient to her husband and going so far as to refer to her husband as Lord. I mean, Paul commended Sarah for revering and regarding her husband as God, basically, because she had the faith and the knowledge to understand the hierarchy and how the Lord set the whole thing up. And when you have a wicked society, a reprobate Christianity that has just basically gone completely off track, and there's hardly anybody that believes anything anymore. The women all want to be, it's not even sufficient to be equal with their husband anymore. They want to be the ones that are in charge. And that's what you have today. And as far as my relationship with the Lord goes, I often explain to him, gosh, Lord, if you would just sit down here next to me and just tell me what you wanted me to do. Just tell me audibly, and I would, no matter what it was, I would be content just knowing what your will was, and I would be content doing it if I just knew what it was. If you just told me, But men they're to live by faith, so we don't hear audibly the Lord's voice. We're expected to live by his Spirit inside of us, which is ruled by his word. And sometimes it's hard to understand his word because the flesh gets in the way, and you have to strive against your carnal desires and the desires of the Spirit inside of you. You have to distinguish the two, and in order to do that, you have to be humbled, and that often takes life experiences. The Lord has to humble us, to break down the flesh, to receive the engrafted word, and that's the struggle that us men have. And women, they bring all their struggles. I've noticed that they bring all their own struggles upon themselves. I shouldn't say just women in general, but in particular married women, because they don't have those kinds of struggles that men have to live by faith. All that you're required to do is to obey your husband, and you have that authority over you, where you can go to and you can hear audibly what you're supposed to be doing. That's the kind of position that I would long to be in with the Lord, just to tell me audibly what you want me to do. And you married women, you have that. That is an absolute blessing. It's just the most phenomenal blessing, I think, in the world, is just to be able to hear what you're supposed to do from your husband, because that is an advantage that us husbands don't have. Living by faith is a little bit more difficult than that. And women that consider that aspect and think that it's horrible or it belittles them, that right there tells you what state you're in. It tells you where you are in your walk. Is if you think that that's a curse, that obeying your husband, which should be an ultimate blessing, if you think that that's a curse, that right there tells you that you need to start reading more, praying more, asking the Lord to humble you, because you're not humble. I'm sorry. And if anybody is truly humbled, they can say, if any man is truly humbled, they can proclaim that they would long to hear the commands from their Lord audibly, you know. And if any woman was truly humbled, they should regard obedience to their husband as a blessing, you know. And it's a marvel to me. But I guess that's why the scriptures say that the women are the weaker flesh, you know, and the men are going to have struggles with the women, because women are not naturally prone to humility. I'm sorry. But I mean, that's what the scriptures proclaim, you know. Solomon, the wisest man in the world, he says, what is it, 1 out of 1,000 men were righteous, or 1 out of 100 or something, but a righteous woman who could find it. I'm sorry, you know, and I'm not trying to condemn anybody or come down on you women, but this is just the fact of the matter. So, I mean, I would just encourage married women just to look at the positives, look at the blessings that you have, that you can basically go to your head, the head of your house, which is your husband, and just audibly hear from him basically what the Lord would have you do. You don't have that struggle. All you need is just a little bit of humility. And if you don't have that, well, all you got to do is ask for it. Lord might have to put you through a thing or two to get you there, but, you know, this isn't rocket science. So, I don't know. It's just something I've been contemplating, and it's the old way that is taught in Scripture, and that our forefathers lived by, and, you know, that's back then when the houses were blessed and the nation was blessed. And now that you have a rebellious nation and a rebellious Christian house, is what we have today. It's just there's role reversal, and nobody wants to do what they're supposed to do anymore. So that's it.